So apparently we're live. Hello. Ooh, I gotta get out of the screen. All right, Jess Claire here. Welcome. I have no idea what's happening because this is the first time I've ever used this platform because Zoom was not working. I even need to change this to my AirPods.
Now I can't hear you. Now I can. Now I can't. Okay. Oh my lordy.
Okay, now I'm back. Okay. Apologies, everyone. Give us like 30 seconds while I make this work. I've never used StreamYard before. Zoom is just flat out not letting me connect to Facebook. Hello, Khalid, for tuning in and saying CV. You'll have to expand on that. I'm not sure what that means. But I am here with this awesome human. I am attempting also to share this over. People have already dropped off because this is so boring right now. Don't worry. It's going to get better once I work out how to share this over and then I'm present with you guys again. Because the topic for this is what if we had a crystal ball?
If only we'd had that 15 minutes ago, Jess.
I know. Perfect, eh?
Hey?
Crystal ball. Oh, I even get a little emoticon. And I'm going to share that. No, come on. No. Anyone else? Oh, hello, Anastasia. You can look at that. We can show yours. Look at that. That's so fancy. I love it. I do like this. But apparently, Anastasia, how did you write a comment? Did you have to do something? Do you have to like accept comments or something from StreamYard? I'm curious because that's what Renee said.
Yes.
Yes? Let's show her. Oh, look at that. This is fancy. I do like this. Posted. Okay, now I just need to go to Evolve and check that it's there. I'm in. We're in.
Woohoo!
What crystal ball? Okay, we're in. Zoom. Oh, look at that. I'm a bit. This is all very new to me, everyone. For those of you that are, hey Nicole. For those of you that are tuning in, this is all pretty freaking different for me. But hey, I'm rolling with it. I've heard about StreamYard. I've told people in my social media school to go download it. And here we are. We just did. We just made it happen. So I'm here with the awesome René Michele. I'm going to introduce you to her in a second, and we're going to talk about what if we had a crystal ball. Like I do everyone, asked her if there was like one problem in the world for her to solve, what would it be? And she said, if we could see our actions before and knew the consequences or knew what was going to happen once we took actions, that would be great, wouldn't it? If we could just solve that problem. And so we're like, well, why don't we talk about that? Why don't we explore that as a topic? And look, the intention behind today is that all of you that are listening and anyone that jumps on, you're really left with a sense of freedom and your own full self-expression in the unknown and the uncertain, because that would be good, wouldn't it? So yeah, that's essentially what this is about. Would love your comments and interact. I'm even going to put them up on the screen because I'm a little excited that, I can. So I always get comfortable here. This is so different.
And it's different screen. Have you noticed with StreamYard with the camera?
It is. I put things up. I'll be like, hello, okay. Oh, that means I can put things up as well. I'm going to post my own comments. Anyway, it's all bit exciting. But Renee, why don't you introduce yourself? How did you end up here on this show?
Wow. Who am I? What a question. So if we're talking job titles or what we do for work, because that's not who I am, but it's something I do. So I am a coach. I coach predominantly female adult survivors of child abuse, sexual assault, and domestic violence. And that was born out of my own story, my own experience as an abuse survivor from the age of 10. So it is something that, I started working in community services and frontline community service work and started telling little snippets of my story. And it's crazy, doors just started flinging open and people started to find their own healing within my story. So it evolved. So that's why I'm now a permanent coach doing that, but I'm also an author, speaker, and consultant. So that's the job title. But first and foremost, Jess, I'm a mum. I've got 2 teenagers, and they're the love of my lives, of course. Sorry, babe. I do have a fiance as well, but, the kids come first. They've been around longer.
It is. Yes, you are. And you also, right before all of this crazy stuff happened with Corona and COVID, you came on the Here on Purpose team.
I did.
And we didn't get too far because but
we didn't get too far.
You came on to create an event, an impact child abuse as a Here on Purpose event and on the Here on Purpose team, which I'm very, very thrilled. So that's how I fortunately know you.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Here on Purpose there, in the background there. So yes, and you've given me your book.
Yes, I have.
Yes, and sorry, I am so distracted by all these things.
You're watching the comments, and
I'm like, there's things happening, and it's like, wow, and I'm like, got to look like I'm present with Renee, but like a freaking puppy right now, like, whoa, there's so much going on the screen.
Bound to happen.
Yes. Anyway, back to you. Thank you so much for being here and discussing this with me, because we're going to really delve into, Haley. Hello, Adrian, Anastasia, Reese, those of you jumping on. You found StreamYard. I did, only because Zoom's broken. But essentially we came up with this topic and we thought, how good would it be? Would you guys love to have a crystal ball and know what was going to happen before it happened? And if not, or if yes, how come? So where do you want to start with this? Why would you even say that? Why was it?
Yeah, you sort of sprung that on me, and you do that. You sort of spring things on people, and I'm sort of glad you caught me on the fly and that I didn't overthink it, because I think sometimes it's awesome just to have that reaction to a question. Because I think if we have too long, we try to make it all pretty and nice. And I thought about it, and I thought, well, because you were like, do you think problems really exist? And I think as humans, we see problems as something that makes us uncomfortable or creates discomfort in our life. And human behavior, you flee from that. And I know that I thought, wow, how would the world as a whole be different if we knew beforehand, if I do that, if I do that business, it's going to go belly up. So no, I'm not going to do that. But you can miss out on all the lessons along the way. So as much as I said, imagine you had a crystal ball, sure, I would have made a lot of different choices, which means I wouldn't be here right now talking to you.
Yeah, I know. It's a catch-22, isn't it? But isn't the main reason no one does anything because they're afraid of what's going to happen if they do? I'm making this up. As far as I can see as an observation in my own life, I didn't do things because I was afraid that something might happen. And if that thing happened, then, our brains are kind of geared to make up all these scenarios, right?
Yep.
So if that's the case, what you're saying is I wouldn't be the person I am now if I had a crystal ball. But yet that doesn't stop this kind of desire to wish I knew the consequences of things before it happened.
Yeah.
So, exactly. What do you think that's about?
Well, again, I think it goes back to that fundamental fear is a big one. and this is about ourselves and our own story, right? So for myself, it's like, I don't want to look dumb by messing up. I don't want to lose things like money, time, and that feeling of discomfort and pain. So if I make a business decision and it goes belly up, that's finance, that's time. I might look like a dickhead. And, I don't want to do that. It's going to make me uncomfortable. Let's save all that time and not do it. So I think, it's that catch-22, isn't it? Like you said before. So I think it would create just as many, if not more, problems if we had one.
Well, it's interesting, right? You know how I said I was going to ask you for examples?
Yes.
So there must have been a time in your life that you went, well, for you to even say that, what is it in your life that you say, I wish I had a crystal ball?
Very much when I have made things or decisions that I have gone, you're an idiot, you should have known better. And the repercussions are other people are now affected by your bad decision. See, if I have to wear it on my own shoulders, it's much easier for me to stomach. But if it affects my children, if there was a stage there where I didn't have pretty much 2 pennies to rub together, therefore my children had to go without. So that really, if I know that my decision has impaired somebody else's life, that's really hard for me to swallow.
Yes. So tell me about that.
Yeah. So the shame factor. So let's just get right to it quickly.
Yeah. And get right to it quickly.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what is that? Because, the reason I'm asking you this, because I did before I would, but the reason I'm asking you this is because, for you to even think about that, you've sat down and thought, geez, I wish I had a crystal ball. And for you to say what you're saying, there's people you've impacted. You think so. You think you've impacted by your actions. What was that? Like, what was it like? Geez, if only.
Yeah, the big one was when I decided to leave my ex-husband because of the emotional abuse. The guilt that I felt when I finally made that decision after 17 years to leave, as much as I wanted to protect my children, and I don't regret it because I knew and I know I did the right thing, I was the person that still made that decision to break the home. And growing up in a broken family, I vowed I will never do that to my children.
Right.
So the guilt that I felt that I had done the very thing I never wanted to do, even though it was for the right reasons, and I knew it was, still hurt like hell. So I thought, oh my God, I've inflicted that on them. I've taken their father away.
Okay. So it was everything to do with the decisions you made, what you had to do. So here you are presented with this scenario of abuse.
Yep.
And you have a view called you don't get divorced or you don't separate.
Mm-hmm.
And you have like a value or a standard or something.
A fear.
Fear? What's the fear?
I didn't want to repeat my parents' mistakes. I was so terrified of ending up like my mum and making the same mistakes she did. And I thought, oh, shit, Renee, you're doing it. And I was like, oh, no. And I could feel it well up in me because I always wanted to be different. And all those childhood fears came up for me.
Right. It's just, don't you think though, this like I love this topic. If we had a crystal ball. So if you had a crystal ball, you would know, you would say, crystal ball, can you tell me how to pick a partner that I can stay with forever? It's all peachy. It's like, let's talk in like real, like utopia language. It's delicious and exciting. And it's definitely not like my parents because whatever they did, I can't turn off this stupid thing. Whatever they did, it was not delicious and exciting. And then what? What is it about the crystal ball that you get that you don't get currently or we don't get in life?
I think that we love to take shortcuts. Impatience is a big one. For me, I want it and I want it now. Not so much about the really, really big things like the successful business. I actually quite like the grind because that's where you learn a lot of things. But I think, like, my first business was as a resume writer. And if I had known back then, Renee, this is going to last for about 2 seconds, what you really should do is coaching, and just jump in that now, I'd be like, oh, stuff that, all those poor people that I wouldn't have helped, and let's just get to the thing that's really fun for me. So it can be quite selfish. It's all about me, me, me. But we forget who we come across in the process of doing those things and building and making mistakes with I wouldn't have my kids if I knew that my partner and I weren't going to work out, because I would have probably gone, oh, well, I'm not putting myself through that. Then they wouldn't.
So is it that you said shortcut? So you want a shortcut, you would go straight to coach. You'd go, okay, don't do this, do that. You'd do all these shortcuts. And then what is it that you now have that you wouldn't have had if you had the crystal ball?
Everything. I honestly don't believe that I would have. So where I am right now, there's no way that I would be in a relationship with my fiance right now.
Sorry to interrupt. How do you know Frank Puran?
Frankie, we worked in PNG together for a couple of years.
That was my first boyfriend. Sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, my lordy.
He's like, oh, hello.
Frank worked with my fiance. They were both in security in PNG.
He's like one of the only guys in the world I've ever touched their chest.
Hey, Frank.
Yes, in grade I don't know, 10. Anyway.
That's freaking hilarious.
It is small world. Yes, so you're in, yes, continue.
Yeah, so I wouldn't have all the good things that I value today, because we value what we have because it took time, effort, money, pain, sacrifice. Yeah. That's why we value what we have. If we take the shortcut and get it, we devalue it. So I don't want the crystal ball. However, it did make me think about big things like wars and all that sort of stuff that really pissed me off. I think, oh my God, imagine Trump had a crystal ball and could see.
Well, it's interesting because what I can hear is everyone is avoiding is actually the thing that you love, is the experience of it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The journey, they always, that horrible cliche, that's why I'm not going to say it. It's all about the journey, not the destination. But if it wasn't for the destination, so if you didn't want to get to that thing, then you also would be willing to do the journey.
Yeah. So, sorry, I just want to acknowledge the face palm. Sorry, Frank. If you have a partner, that may have been kind of weird. It's okay. I'm a lesbian now. I'm not trying to come on to your boyfriend.
See what you did, Frank?
Frank is fun. Anyway, he was. Anyway, so
that's another StreamYard combo.
Yes, but it's interesting what you're saying, because we all talk about wanting it, right? But we actually don't.
No.
And then I'm going to get all philosophical on everyone right now. I'd be interested, to hear your thoughts on this. But it's like it's like having kids. One of the most challenging things, but also one of the most rewarding. Because you learn more about yourself.
Ooh, yeah.
And here's what I found, and I'll be, interested to hear what you think. And with everything that you went through, this is just drawing on what you saw the other night about problem. There actually isn't. I'm going to say something, and don't worry, everyone, this is going to sound really weird to begin with, but I'm going to back it up, and I'll tease it out with Renee. There's no problem with being abused. Let me tell you what I mean by that.
Calm down, people.
There's no problem. There's the abuse, and this happens. I did this. This happened to me. This happened to me. This happened to me. This happened to me. This stuff happened. I don't know what it is particularly, what you'd call abuse, but there was abuse, right? Anyone who looked would have gone, that's abusive.
Yes.
Right? So that's what we call abuse. Those actions happened. Then there is your experience of yourself when that happens. You would have had certain physical experiences, emotional experiences. It would have impacted your ability to work, build relationships, go out, your confidence, a whole bunch of things.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the problem with that?
The problem that I can see for all of the work that I do, and the thing that really hits me in the heart and the soul of working with other trauma victims and survivors, the problem is how it prevents us from living our best life. So the byproduct, the problem with, anything that happens to us externally that we have absolutely no control over, is the fact that we wear it on our shoulders. So again, it taps into that shame thing.
Well, it's like what Frank has just said on a serious note.
Yeah.
We're afraid of being vulnerable. I actually think that's the thing. Like, someone's acting this way. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not saying I would tolerate it either, by the way.
Yep.
There's no real problem, except what I think Frank's pointing to, I can tend to agree, is the problem is that it impacts, well, if there was a problem, the problem is it impacts your life. You're not living your best life, as you put it. You're not able to express yourself. And we're now in a community as well where there's not really, it's kind of getting better, but there's not really space to be able to communicate this stuff.
Yeah.
And be free and open about it without some sort of repercussion.
Yeah, because there's still so much stigma around being vulnerable. For guys, it's like, oh, you'll be right, mate, suck it up, all that type of, male staunch garbage.
Yeah.
And for women and men, but for women, there's so much victim blaming that still goes on too. Like I said, I felt guilty when I left an abusive relationship. How effed up is that? But
that's
it's this internal thing that says, uh-oh, this is on you again, girl. You've done this.
Yeah.
So perspective is huge. Perspective is, oh, yeah.
And it's also, so you're grappling with things now, right? So if you had a crystal ball, you would be able to avoid the grappling.
Yeah.
So now you've got this relationship that was considered abusive and there was things that happened and you went, not okay. I'm leaving. So you leave. Now you've not got the experience of the abuse, but now you've got the experience of the guilt and the shame associated with being in it and tolerating it. And then you've got a situation where if you voice it, there's this kind of judgment that is then telling you, and it's like everyone now has a voice about whether they think you're right, you're wrong, you're good, you're bad in the situation. So there's no real space for you to even be heard.
Correct.
Yeah. So wouldn't it be good to have a crystal ball to avoid all that?
Yep. And go, oh, it's not going to matter anyway. These are all the things they're going to be said. This is how it's going to end. Ignore it. Carry on.
So you don't, do you?
No.
You just go, screw that. I'm just not going to talk to anyone. I'm going to keep it to myself. And how does that go?
Yeah, well, not well, does it? Do you know what I mean? It really is. It's a murky. It's that real grey area, isn't it? If we want to, like you said, put all that philosophical side stuff aside for a minute, and let's just look at the logic of having this thing that tells you how everything's going to turn out. How freaking boring would and how shallow would people be? And how, do you know what I mean? Because it's all the stories I've read in my life and the people I really admire are the people that have either lost everything and have had to rebuild everything and put blood, sweat, and tears, or the people that you just think, oh my gosh, you couldn't get a break. You went through and you're such a tremendous human being. Now imagine taking all that away. Would they still be a tremendous human being? Possibly, but not in the way that they are today.
Tell me, so you are dealing with all of that.
Yeah.
The actions that led to your experience.
Yeah.
You left, you've got the guilt and shame. That's, you're having that like real experience for yourself of this guilt and shame. And then you don't want to talk to people. You must have had to somehow work through all that in some way to show up how you do now.
Yeah, it was about learning who to trust and talk to. So
yeah, give me an example of that.
Yeah, so I keep my support circle very small, but I also have layers of support. So I have those closest to me. So my partner knows everything, more than my best girlfriend ever has. He knows the whole kit and caboodle, right? He's the only one. And then I have the next person that might know that little bit less. And then I had a psychologist who knew enough to be able to provide me the support that I needed from her. And then I had mentors that helped me, that knew a little bit about the struggles, but helped me with the business. Do you know what I mean? So it's sort of that those circles get a bit wider. But I chose very carefully, because someone said earlier, do you have trust issues? Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I did. I saw that up there. We didn't get a chance to answer.
But not like I used to. I have great discernment now, so I know who to trust, and I have strong boundaries. But back in the day, without those things, I trusted way too many and trusted not enough.
Yeah.
So it's that real juggling act.
Yeah. And it's so what you're saying is that so that whole experience has led you to kind of discern. We use the word discern. I like that word. I've heard that a lot lately. I quite like it. Meaning you can now sort of intuitively navigate through your experience. It's not about that your story is not worth telling and then there's not information you don't want to share, but you've learned to navigate who to share it with to ensure that you remain empowered and you get heard.
And for every relationship we have, I mean, imagine you went for a job interview and you're like, right, I've suffered abuse for 26 years. And they're going to be like, there's the door. Get out.
My dating profile. Yeah.
Time and a place, girl.
Abuse battered. Will probably be very needy and controlling.
Exactly.
Yes, that's right.
There's sensibility in there, right? Maturity, understanding, right time, right place. There's also people that don't have the capacity to cope with some of these stories. They just don't. They look at you like a deer in headlights and you just see fear, don't know what to say. And it's like, it's okay. I'm all right. You don't have to help me. I'm all good. So again, you have to be careful not to have unrealistic expectations of others as well. So, not everybody has to know everything, right?
No. It's interesting because, my whole thing is about authenticity, vulnerability. I don't share everything online. I'm very discerning about what I share online. I have a belief that you share your scars, not your wounds. So I go through stuff. I share about that I'm going through stuff. But I don't always share in the moments that I'm in my bedroom rocking and crying. Hi, here I am on a Facebook Live. Just had a really bad day. This is how I deal with it. I don't share that. I think people get concerned because we're human beings that really connect to experience. So if you're watching me experience that, you may feel so helpless. You don't know what to do. It would actually impact you more. And I don't want to leave you with that experience. But what I do have and I've created in my life is I've got people in my life that can hold me through that can hear that can see that. And when I need something, I talk to them about that, right? And then when I know it doesn't last very long, right? So when I know that I go through it, then I can share it like I am now. I literally do have moments where I lie in my bed and I've really experienced some hard stuff, particularly if I'm not going to share it, but, I'm going through like getting access to my kids at the moment, right? Very hard. And if I was to share all the moments that I had with that, you'd be very concerned. But as a human being, I do experience these moments, right? And I can share about it now because I'm fully free. So it's like, I don't know. What am I trying to say here? Do you want to add something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, there's a part of, people don't always know the context of why we're feeling or responding to the way that, we do. And Your response to a situation might be totally different to mine. No less, no worse, but different, because we're different. Some people who are still in their mess or in their situation are much more easily triggered. So they may respond out of their own stuff to what you're going through that has nothing to do with you, that can put them so far back in their own healing because they're not ready for it yet. So I have a lot of people that say, Renee, can you help me tell my story? You wrote a book. How do I do that? You speak on stage. How do you do that? And I'm like, sometimes I'm like, honey, you're not ready. You're still in it. Wait until you're a little bit further. Wait until you've got that support network in place so that if you need to fall, they're there to hold you. But you're going to do more harm than good either to yourself or others. You're just not ready yet. So it's knowing when you're ready as well to do those things. So it's about keeping ourselves safe, right, as well.
Yeah, well, it's sort of discerning. And I'm like, I'm trying to distinguish this for myself. Like, I'm always about the learning on these conversations just as much as, you know, I'm not here. I'm no guru. Renee's no guru. We don't have the answers.
I'm not your guru.
No, we don't have the answers to life. This is purely our experience, and this is Renee's experience. Renee's got a book called what's it called?
Battle Scars Are Beautiful, From Victim to Victory.
From Victim to Victory, Battle Scars Are Beautiful. She's written all about this in your book. You've obviously shared in detail in the book about what happened. And you know, Renee was sort of saying the biggest problem is, well, we don't have a crystal ball. What are we trying to avoid? It's like we're trying to avoid the very thing that is life. Oh, look.
Sorry, I'm just, whoa.
No, you're taking over. Our face. Oh, she's so funny. I love it. I'm not going to be able to leave it out for long. Sorry, babes. It's so big. Thank you. I love Kel. But yeah, it's like, what are we trying to avoid here? What is this? What is this need to know? What is this?
Well, again, I just think, and it comes back down to why you think you're here on this earth. This is, again, this is my perspective.
Topical. I love it.
Yeah, this is my perspective here, and it's going to either, it won't offend people because I'm never offensive. However, some people, you know, you've only got to tell a little bit and it's like, However, you know, I always think it's more about the receiver than the giver. So let me just preface what I'm going to say is that my belief is my belief, and unless I'm asked, I keep it to myself. So you really won't know what they are unless you get the book, because I do keep it to myself. My thoughts are very important to me, okay? But to know who I am and why I do what I do, you need to have some sort of context, right? So I believe we're all created for a specific reason, not just a singular reason, but many reasons, okay? And that we're all unique and at birth, you know, created with a purpose in mind, okay? So I'm not here for me, I'm here for you. I'm here for others. I'm here to give more than I am to take, okay? Mm-hmm. So what are we trying to avoid? You know, so early on, if you think back to the schoolyard, for me, I was bullied. So my first experiences were joy in my family. I felt love to a certain degree. But then the next feeling I had was fear and loneliness. So now my whole life, instantly when something happens, I'm trying to avoid fear and loneliness. And then my next experience became shame. So then I started avoiding that. So it's what we feel, the experiences we go through, again, just my thought here, is that if it's something that causes pain, if it's something that causes loss, anything, like I said, very simply doesn't feel nice, we tend to want to avoid that, right? It's like just, you know, it's biological. That doesn't feel right. Oh, don't want to do that again. It's the same emotionally. It's how we're created. And I think we're very intrinsic beings. That we're not, it's not just body, right? Body, soul, spirit, mind, the whole gamut there. Mm-hmm. So anytime, you know, we're complicated, but we're simple. Oh, that doesn't feel nice. Don't want to do it again. A bit like Homer Simpson, but he was dumb. Don't. That's my life story. Don't do it again. Do it again. I eventually learned. I'm here.
But do you reckon, like, I'm listening to you going, we do. We okay, it doesn't feel good. Move away. I guess my experience is, and look, I don't want people to think that I'm sitting here like without experience. I'm not going to go into, this isn't about my story, but I want anyone that knows me well enough will know that I've had my own stuff. You know, you said before you should write a book. You know, it's like I could. And we've all got a story. But I one of the things, and I'm adding to the philosophy that you're talking about, is it's like, I'm just going to be really philosophical here. We're born into the world a blank canvas.
Yep.
Right? Blank canvas. And it is actually the things that happen to us that shape who we are.
Yes.
It was the fact that my mum left when I was 4, and then this other thing happened, and then this other thing happened, and then it's just happenings. Actually shapes who I am. Right? Doesn't tell me who I get to be. That's the part that I got to when I started going down the personal development path, was it doesn't define who I am, but it shapes it. So this happens now. I'm obsessed with information, because I still am, because something happened and someone did something without me knowing about it, and so therefore I made a decision that I will always be one step ahead. You know, so I'm always, one step ahead.
Now, you told yourself a story about that.
Well, that decision was like in that moment shaped who I was. Yeah. But everything is happening in perfect sequence. Like that happened, and then that happened, and then that happened, and this happened to me, which happened to them, which happened to them, which happened. Like it actually ripples. The action that happened to me, my decision, and how I act after that actually ripples across the planet.
Yes.
Right? So I'm getting super philosophical now, but effectively, I like to say, don't worry about having a crystal ball. Be it. Be the crystal ball. You tell life what's going to happen, and then make life happen for you.
Wow, that's a T-shirt.
Hey?
That's a T-shirt.
Yes. You say, well, I've said it, and anyone who watches my stuff knows this. I'm going to shift what it is to be a leader on this planet. No one has to agree with me.
No.
No one has to go, oh, Jess, she's amazing. I agree. And if it wasn't, no one has to. I'm not interested if you think I will or not. I am. And whether you can laugh at that now or not, that's fine with me.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that if I had the power to make that decision in that moment when I was like 8, and it shaped my whole life, who showed up, how I interacted, what I did, what I learnt, all of that, then I have the power now to be the crystal ball and say that and keep playing until it happens. Right? And that's, I guess when I think about it, it's like, and everything that happens in between is perfect. It's like, it's sure, I'm making this up in a way. It's like I made it up, but it's empowering enough for me to have a great life in the process. And the crystal ball and the actions and the consequences and all of that, that's a part of the process to get there.
Yeah, and I think too, Jess, like all of that, awesome. Totally agree with everything that you said. And mindset, your mindset today, being able to encapsulate all that the way that you just did and live and breathe it as authentically as you do, is because you have got your mind, you've mastered your mind to reach a point where you're like, no, I'm driving this car and the rest is following me, right? And it is that development of mindset. So a lot of people will say to me about resilience and mindset, holy shit, René, how did you get from there to there? And it was really a mindset thing. My mind used to be quite, well, I didn't understand that I had the choice and had the power and could say no and could implement boundaries and didn't have to do the things I actually didn't want to do. So that was the massive learning curve, right? But perspective, a lot of people still know that stuff, yet still choose to be totally knocked down by circumstances they can't control and then stay down. So that whole crystal ball, you say be your own crystal ball, which is awesome. Me, because I'm a little bit heavy-handed, I would just smash the shit out of that crystal ball and drop it on the floor. Because I can say shit, right?
You can.
Because anytime I try to think too much about the stuff I can't control, I get that little bit, because like I said, if it was just me, I'm actually not that stressed about things. You know, my partner's favorite saying is don't sweat the small stuff. I never thought there was anything that was small. I thought the whole world rested on my shoulders. As soon as I realized that was not true, life was much easier to lead, but I still get so stressed when I think it's going to impact him or the kids. And my kids are like, Mom, calm down. Really no big deal. And I was like, really? Mindset. It's really your perspective. And what, you know, a lot of people get so stressed about the stuff they can't control. That used to be me. What if this happens and this happens? I'd be thinking decades down the track. I was like, ooh, girl. Whereas now it's just not a big deal. So I love the fact every day going, what's going to happen today? I actually don't know. But whatever does, I'll be sweet. I'll just figure it out.
Absolutely. I've just realised I have to go because I've got Facebook Against Humanity and we were like a lot late.
We were late. Yeah.
We have to wrap up. There's no way we can leave this conversation here. We've just like full, you know, it's like we've just gone into someone's guts as doctors and gone, okay.
We'll come back up.
Yeah. And I think, look, we're going to have to do this again because this stupid thing didn't work. I love talking to you, René, and we will arrange to do this again because I hate to cut it. But I think what I'm hearing from you is that you say, you know, wouldn't it be great if we had a crystal ball? You actually don't really mean it. No. You realise that whilst you, and I was talking to Emily about this today actually, we tend to have two things be true at once. On one hand, you would like to know. On the other hand, you know. Because, the two things that can be valid that conflict each other at the same time. On one hand, of course, we want to know. Yeah. Because I would love to shortcut my journey of earning, you know, becoming whatever. But really, would I? On the other hand, I'm like, of course I wouldn't. It's the process. I've fallen in love with the process of what it's going to take and, you know, being the kind of human being that shows up and finds ways to empower myself no matter what happens.
Yeah. So mine wasn't so much I'd love to have one. It was how different would we in the world be if we did have one?
I reckon we'd be pretty freaking bored.
So do I. Totally. Shallow, boring. But anyway, you need to go.
Oh, it's okay. You can have a couple of minutes. And I just want to ask you one, because I don't like leaving things like this. If you could give one piece of advice for people that wish things were different, for people that wish they had a crystal ball, for people that are really dealing with stuff right now, because we know you are. We know there are people out there that are going to watch this that may not never comment, but you're really grappling with stuff that's happening in your life. And it all does seem like a problem, and it all does seem like you wish you could make a difference to it. And it may seem like you're not ever going to, because when you're in it, it doesn't feel like it's ever going to end.
Yeah.
And what would you say to them?
I'm mentoring a 15-year-old girl at the moment, Jess, and I've worked with her for quite a few years, and we have this conversation at least weekly. I try to remind her that the reason she is so amazing today and will be even more amazing tomorrow and will get stronger and more capable is because of the mess. She is going to save lives. She is going to touch people in a way that if she hadn't been through what she had been through, will never be able to do. So it's always darkest before the dawn. Just keep hanging on. If people told me I'd be doing what I was doing now as a drug addict and as an alcoholic, I would have laughed you out of the room. Either that or punched you in the face. Hang on, it's going to get better. And there's living proof everywhere. Everywhere we look, they're better human beings because of their journey and their message. You know, so just keep fighting the fight, and you're not alone. We're in this together. Reach out. There's so much support out there now.
Yeah. If someone had said, if you're sitting there as you were a drug addict and an alcoholic and you're sitting there and you're losing it in that you would one day be taking photos for your book cover naked and having people in driving past taking photos of you. You'd be like, I never knew that was going to happen.
I feel like I'd never do that. Yeah, you will.
It's going to be a liberating experience.
Exactly.
That's right. Exactly.
Cool.
You don't. I always go. I remember when I broke up with my ex-wife in the first month when it was happening. It was awful. It was like, it was. I can't give that any words. I can't even explain it. But I do remember this one guy I spoke to, who was just a beautiful man, who spoke to me every day, one good friend of mine, Shoab, and he spoke to me every day until I was okay for months.
Yeah,
and
wow.
it really moves me thinking of that. And I remember he said to me, he was so beautiful. He still is beautiful. I just haven't spoken to him in a while. But he said to me, in 2 years' time, you're not going to know who you are and you're not going to recognize your life.
Wow.
And it's just hit over 2 years ago. And it's true. It really, Anastasia, I know you're going through some stuff right now that's really tough. And I know you're in it. You know, I haven't, you got to DM me to book a meeting in with me. There is no chance that to book a meeting in with me. I literally move on to meeting and it's gone from my brain, and I wake up and I dream about things sometimes that I haven't responded to. But just DM me and we can organize a catch up. But I would never, ever have known that this was possible for me, creating my own social enterprise, my own social media school, my own, collaborating with some of the most incredible leaders on the planet like yourself, who are changing and carving the way for others by connecting to their humanity, not by having to build themselves up to look like some great big hero and or compete over the amount of money or status or power, but actually just connect with people's humanity through your own experience. I could not have told anyone that was going to happen.
No,
so anyone listening, don't know. So anyone listening, I get that it's cliche to say, just hang on, and you may want to just punch us both in the face to go, but it's so crap right now, right? Because I remember. But
you don't want to hear it, but it's fact.
Yeah. And if you need anything, René and I may not be able to provide it ourselves, but we certainly have resources and people that we can direct you to.
Exactly.
If you need things. So, anything else? Thank you so much.
No, we'll do it again, Jess.
So much to say, but I didn't scratch the surface with you, babe. Like,
I know. Now we know StreamYard's here. It's all right.
Yes. Thank you so much, beautiful. Thank you, Frank, for tuning in. Anastasia, again. I know, it's so funny. Kel, whoever's on as well. I'm glad I cheered you up, babe. And you guys have a great night, and I'll see you for Facebook Against Humanity very soon. All right. See you guys. See ya. Bye.